Welcome to Draw My Life tag on Random Thoughts on Thursdays. So this week I thought I would do the Draw My Life tag. So I was born in 1971 to a single mom, and I was raised by, as you can see, you'll see here in a second here, I was raised by my grandparents. I called them Opie and Omi. That's how I was raised, and I made their hair black even though they didn't have black hair. They had silver hair by the time I came along, but I didn't have a silver marker. And there's my mom, and she kind of was sort of there, but she kind of sort of wasn't, and she was kind of always grumpy. And we spoke German at home as I was growing up, which is where I said the Guten Tag there. And what I did a lot when I was a young kid before I started school is I watched a lot of Sesame Street, and I loved books, and my grandmother couldn't read me enough books, so I actually taught myself how to read when I was about 4 years old, watching Sesame Street, which was cool. And then also when I was 4, I had a chance to go to Canada with my grandmother. We were there for about 9 months, and I went to kindergarten. And while I was there, I learned how to speak French, which was really cool. Then we came back to Chicago, which was where I was born, in my hometown. And here I am again. And here I'm saying that this is me in first grade. I went to Oscar Mayer Elementary, believe it or not. And my very first day, I met a girl named Angie who was really mean and punched me in the stomach. And that basically set the tone for the rest of my elementary school years. I got bullied really, really badly in elementary school. And then moving on to high school, things got a lot better. I was with a lot of clubs and things, as you can see there, and I got teased somewhat. I was a geek, but I wasn't beat up or bullied like I was in elementary school. And then college, I loved college. College was amazing. And I hung out with this guy named Chris. He was my absolute best friend. We hung out and spent a lot of time together, did lunch together, studied together. And I dated his friend Jeff for a while until Jeff dumped me via email, and that kind of ended there. So he came and went pretty quickly. And then I started chatting on IRC, and I fell in love with a guy that I met through the chat room there named Bartold. And we had a fairly long relationship. For 2 years, we were long distance. I lived in Chicago, he lived in San Jose, and then finally he got a job in Colorado, and I followed him there. And that's why I live in Colorado these days, is I followed him to Colorado. But I moved out here, and I couldn't find work. I had a degree in elementary education, and all the schools said, nope, no thank you, try again next year or whatever. And I was like, well, now what do I do? I worked for JCPenney for a while, but then I had a lot of free time, and we had this Unix computer at home, and the only thing I could do on it was on the web, and I learned how to make my own websites. And that's kind of where my new career started. I became an intranet webmaster by day, got a full-time job doing that, and then I went back to grad school by night. And boy, I was tired all the time, but I was really happy because I loved learning and advancing my career. And during this time, Bartold and I kind of really drifted apart, and he was like, yeah, bye, going out with my friends again. He did that an awful lot, and I finally said, you know what, I'm leaving. And he was like, yeah, okay. It was kind of mutual, but that was the end of that relationship after about 5 years of doing that. And then I graduated and got my master's degree, which was kind of cool, in technical communication. And then, let's see, what happened then? Oh yes, so my career was doing well, my school was, done, but now what about my love life? And so I turned to Match.com, and I went on a ton of dates with guys, and nothing that lasted. It just wasn't happening very well. So then I turned to joining social groups, local social groups, and I joined a social group called No Kidding, which was a child-free social group, and I made lots of new friends there. And at one of my friends' parties, I met this really smart guy named Dave. And it took me a year to convince him to ask me out, but once he did, we fell in love. And then I bought a townhouse, and unfortunately that didn't last very long, because 2 weeks after we bought the townhouse and closed on it, my boss said, "I can't afford you anymore, I'm laying you off." And there's a whole lot of drama behind all of that. But I spent 11 years with that company, and she just got rid of me. Anyway, so had to move in with my boyfriend at the time. I had to move in with Dave, but with all that, I was like, screw it, I'm gonna start my own company. So I founded my company in 2008, and things have gone well. We've been living together for a while, and then finally in 2011, my Dave said, "Let's get married," and I was like, okay. We were very formal about it. And then this year my business is booming, so I actually have hired a couple of subcontractors. So now I have a bigger business. And just recently my husband and I have decided, let's go buy a new house. Yay! And that's pretty much my life in pictures. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.